Welcome back to another episode of My Life at a Weird Angle. I'm Lord Milan, yours truly. And like always, if you don't think life is weird, you're not paying attention. I'm here with a new friend of mine I met in the green room down in Las Vegas a little bit ago, who's here with an amazing attitude, among other things. Marcus Callius, welcome to the show.
Lord Milan, truly my pleasure. I was so excited when you reached out to me. We clearly connected well when we were down there in Vegas, and man, I'm just honored to be here. Thanks for this.
Awesome. Yeah, it's I love things like that, that David puts on, or even just anybody that's willing to gather more awesome people towards themselves. I think, like-minded people, they obviously attract to themselves. And it's like, we're mirrors of each other and we can benefit from each other faster. What was one of the takeaways for you that made you even want to go down there and collaborate?
Honestly, it's exactly what you just said. I love being in the room with high achievers, with big thinkers. It's the secret sauce that not enough people are doing. We talk about it. A lot of people talk about it. They know, yeah, I should be spending time with people who have bigger thoughts and bigger dreams, bigger goals, are go-getters. But how much time are we actually spending with those people? And it's being intentional, right? Like you and I, we had to make our way to Vegas. I mean, sure, there's reasons to go to Vegas. I'm not one of those Vegas guys though. So
Yeah.
like man, when we were done, I was in my bedroom every time. I ate dinner in my bedroom one night. But just being around incredible people, meeting amazing guys like yourself, that's why I'm there. And good things happen when you spend time with big thinkers, high achievers, and people who have the same energy as you.
Right. And I think, that's the challenging thing, right? Like, right away whether or not you fit into a room when you walk into the room of like, am I questioning myself in this environment, or am I capitalizing, and am I able to be in this environment? And
Really
that's
good.
one of the things that I noticed along the way. I'm sure you did too, that a lot of who you become is your identity. What you really believe about yourself. Like scripture
Yeah.
said, it's the secret desires of our heart. How do I really see myself? And I think that comes out when you put yourself into rooms with high achievers, because it's almost like we can smell it on
Yeah.
people, like
Yeah.
either you have authenticity or you don't.
Oh, this is so good. This is something I love working with and talking about, not just authenticity, which I love talking about, but this, people walking into this room, there's so many people who are suffering from imposter syndrome. It's one of the things I love working with people to get over. And I also am a firm believer that we're going to get out of life what we think we deserve. And if you're someone who suffers from imposter syndrome a lot, what you're essentially saying is, I don't deserve this. And guess what? You won't get it. And so I love working with people who are like, no, yeah, I would love to change it. I know it's not good for me. Great. That's a great first step. So let's take it to the next step and let's get you to a place where you believe you deserve. And one of my favorite recommendations, the easiest way to get you on this path, is start putting in the work that improves you as a human being, as a worker, as a business person, whatever it is. If you put in that work, you listen to the right podcasts, you take notes, you read the books, you spend time with high achievers, you should be taking a mental tally. Your scoreboard should be going up, going, I deserve success. I'm putting in the work. And I didn't do it for just 2 days. I've been doing it for months, for years, for decades. I deserve to be here. I deserve to win. And you will.
Yeah, it's I remember when not necessarily the exact moment when that clicked for me, but I do remember God's response. And I remember going into my back office and I was about to set up for, a call or a coaching something. And the voice said, I'm glad you finally agree that you're valuable.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
like,
What
you've
a
been
change.
valuable the whole time, but now you agree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I do agree. Like you said, like you're never going to go farther than you feel your own value, you know? And that was one of my biggest concerns when my injury happened. Doctors walk in and say, you'll never have any feeling or movement ever again. And I'm like, all right, that's not really what I wanted to hear today. And I was so concerned of like, how can I be valuable again? Because I was so used to being valuable, to my coach that, oh yeah, I can run faster, or valuable to my parents. Well, I'll carry all the groceries in for you, you know? But it's like, well, all the things that I thought was where I got my value and what I did now my value had to become with who I am. And I think
Mm.
it's a lot harder of a hurdle to jump because, like, oh, if I want a bigger chest, I know I can do a bunch of push-ups. You know, I might not want to do the push-ups, but I know exactly how to do it. You know,
Yeah.
there's a myriad of ways. And it's like, all right, well, how do you become a better person? Like, there's kind of a playbook, but also kind of not.
Yeah.
Because what works for other people may not work for you in every single way. But I think
Yeah.
there are some basic truths. Like you said, let me just do what I believe and know now to get me to the next level. And I'm always telling people, my wife loves it, that I tell people that want to change but don't know where to start. You probably can't get yourself from A to Z. If you could, you'd already do it. But
So,
you can
so
get
good.
yourself from A to C. And
Mm.
like once you're at C, you'll probably meet somebody that's like, hey, like if you do this, you can get to F. And they're like, oh, really? And then you get to F, and it's like, wait a second, I got a couple collaborators. Let me call it a favor. Now I'm at R. Like, whoa, that was fast. And it's like
I love that.
doing the thing to get you where you know to go already.
Oh,
And
I
for
love this.
me,
I love.
go
Okay,
ahead.
sorry. Go. Keep going. Keep going. I'm just excited about your analogy. It's so good. Please continue.
And I'm simply saying that like when I didn't have my body, what did I have? I had my thoughts and my words. I'm like, all right, well, that's what I got. Like, all right, well, what would I love to think about? What would I love to happen? And I'm like, well, I would love to get out of this bed right now, But more than that, I wanted, like you said, I mean, I just wanted to feel good about myself. And like
Mm.
up into the injury, I did not feel good about who I was. I could do amazing things, but I didn't feel good. And I was like, well, I just really want to feel good. And then like a week later, God came to me and said, so if you want to feel good for real, like in the long term, align your thoughts, words, and actions, and you'll at least start in your chosen direction, like you said, choosing. And I was like, okay. And like that chosen direction, it was like, how fast can I say yes to myself on a regular basis? Led me to where I am now, to having this amazing conversation.
Oh, so good. So good. I want to go back for a second because this analogy is so good. And I think there's a piece here where people miss so often. And so many people are missing this piece. When you said, let's work on getting from A to C because you know how to do it. And we overlook the value of going from A to C. And one of the things that I preach daily is whenever I'm on a new path, maybe it's a new business, whatever the case might be, I will only get about 10% of what I need to know before I start. 90% of what I need to know is going to be on that path. So I can see Z, but I'm like, I have no idea how to get there. And I think a lot of people stare at it and go, so I'm not even going to start because I have no idea how to get to Z. Well, you see A, B, and C. Just go A, B, and C. And when you get to B, you start going, hey, is that D? Oh, I think I see D, B, and C. And you get to see it just like you said. And then someone comes along or someone's coming back from the other way. And it's like, oh, actually, I can tell you how to get to E. And now we need to start just, look how simplified you made that analogy. It was so beautiful. And it's so clear. Someone's coming back this way and they go, here's how to get to E. Take what you can from them. And it's like you said, maybe your path's not going to be the exact same, but you still listen. So many people are like, I probably won't even be able to help me. So I'm not even going to have that conversation. Have the freaking conversation. You can learn from anybody. Even if they're doing it the wrong way, you can learn from them too.
Oh my gosh. That's my wife says that all the time. She's like, I had no examples about how to be a good mother or a good wife or a good this or good that, but I had all the examples of what not to do. So she's like, well, I just knew what to avoid. It's like, I would overhear things. People say, oh, I wish I did this or I wish I didn't do that. And she's like, good to know.
Yes.
Good to know.
So good.
I believe you. That sounds terrible.
Right. Sometimes the answers do the exact opposite. I mean, I raised my kids watching Office all the time. Everybody loves The Office. We love The Office. And we're like, I don't know if we should be watching this in front of them. I mean, they were young. And then we started having conversations. And I'm like, man, is Michael Scott going to be their role model who they learn from? And then I was like, wait, it just takes a conversation. And I would pause it and be like, do you think Michael did it the right way? And they're like, no. Okay, why? What went wrong there? What should he have done better? And they were learning these examples at 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. That's amazing. And I know for a fact they've taken it with them for life because Michael Scott still pops up. We still put on The Office once in a while. And it's just these little reminders like, oh, I wouldn't treat someone like that.
Right. Yeah, and it's great, right? And sometimes people come to you and I and come to this transformation world from a bunch of different standpoints, but it's really you might not know even exactly what you want, because like it's easy, like our heads are filled with other people's stories, right?
Yes.
So you might not be clear on exactly what's right for you, but you're for sure clear on what's not.
Yeah.
Well,
Really
I
good.
know I don't want to be broke and a drug addict. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I know I don't want to have a terrible relationship. Like, okay. Well, and then you can start to really cater to things like that mean something to you. And I think it's easier to take those steps when it's personal. And like for
Oh, so
me,
good.
whenever I'm going into a new sector and virtually everything that I'm doing is I'm the first one in the family to do it. But that doesn't mean that I can't get clues from other people. Like Jim Rohn said, success leaves clues. Like
Yes.
they're around somewhere.
Yes.
Like, oh, well, the idea of like a really healthy marriage, that sounds appealing to me. A long-term partner, we enjoy each other, we have this, we have that. Great. And it's like I took those ideas and really made them personal. I'm like, okay, if I walk down this line, like God told me, thoughts, words, and actions, well, what happens? Well, I imagine we laugh together, imagine we travel together, I'd imagine like we'd grow, her body might look like this, kind of thing. It'd be really great. And I think when we infuse like the emotion of those ideas, then God takes the rest. He'll fill in those gaps. Because I didn't know that the person I would marry is the person I would marry, but she does have those characteristics and those ideas and those emotions that I thought would be awesome. And I think that's really cool that we can basically cause belief and push dominoes in our life by just let me pause for a second and think about what would be awesome for me.
It's really good. Profound stuff, brother. Thank you.
Awesome. So this book, Play a Bigger Game, you're not trying to play small. I know you posted about like some life changes within the last few years of like, all right, well, things aren't going to be the way that they've always been. What stood out to you that was like, I want to compile all this into a book to give out?
Oh, wow. Beautiful question. First, I got to start by answering it the proper way. This book was given to me. God called me to write this book. And it was just the whole process has been amazing. I'm not saying like there was never a bad day, but man, I've so enjoyed this new chapter in my life, and no pun intended. It's just, it is what it is. God called me to sell my biggest business. And I've been an investor. I've been an entrepreneur for over 25, almost 30 years now. And I love it. And I love investing in others. I love working with other CEOs, other entrepreneurs. It's amazing. And when he called me to sell my company, the first thing he did is he said, I want you to write your book. And I know he's given me all these mindset tips, these perspectives over the years. And all I did is I started compiling them. And, people think they have to reinvent the wheel. And I want to just say, I'm living proof that you don't have to. I don't have these big, amazing, original thoughts. I'm not claiming that this book is like, oh, this is pure original content. No, like look how many people you and I have quoted already in this short conversation. Jim Rohn put out so much incredible information about how to perceive life. And Tony Robbins has had such an impact. David Meltzer has such an impact. I was going to mention Matthew McConaughey, which I know that's a crazy person to reference.
That's a great book that he wrote, Green Lights.
Green Lights.
The audio book of it, man, it's extraordinary.
Yeah. And he said it so beautifully, something you and I have already talked about here, which is sometimes finding out what you're not supposed to do is just as valuable as finding out what you're supposed to do. And I was like, oh my goodness, what a simple thought. That's freaking brilliant and beautiful. So yeah, this book is all the stuff that I've learned in my 30 years. And not just the tips I've picked up from the Jim Rohns and the Tony Robbins and the Rory Vadens and Ed Milet's, but also what worked for me in business and what didn't, and how to actually apply it in business. And what I think really stands out about my book to make it different is I challenge people constantly. Put down the book, and this is all in the book. Put down this book right now. Take this challenge. Because if you're not taking action on the stuff you're learning, nothing will change in your life. And I think that is the epidemic we're dealing with right now in this world is people don't take action anymore. And we learn stuff and then we go, man, it feels like nothing's changing. No, it won't. You could read every book on the planet. You could learn everything there is to know about everything. If you don't take action with it, nothing in your life will change. In fact, you'll be worse off because you know what you should be doing. So this book boiled down to one sentence: take action, life will change.
I love that you incorporated like these incremental moments to take action. Because I think some people, they have it in their head that, well, I'll act when I feel that I have enough or when I feel ready. And like you said a few minutes ago, guys like us, like we learn so much after the fact. Like, you learn 90% after you start.
Yes.
And it's like, I was talking with my wife a while back and how, it's unfortunate that a lot of people give up when it's hard. And she said, it's more unfortunate that a lot of people give up on the idea of hard.
Mm.
And I was like, geez, woman, you're pretty profound there. You're doggone useful.
Oh.
And it's so profound though, because like the basis of your life, the basis of mine and everybody else is the story we're telling ourselves about it. And it's like, you can absolutely psych yourself up to do something or psych yourself out from doing something.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, there's a book that written by this Australian woman that worked in hospice for 30 years. And she wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And it was like over 3,000 people that she had assisted. And the number one regret is, I wish I lived a life authentic to me. I wish I went for it. And it's like, if that's the number one regret, then again, success leaving clues here. Let me just do the things that feel right, that I feel called to do. And I think it's, even if no one else recognizes it, you were true to yourself and it feels great.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Like building those reps, so it's like, then when the big public thing comes, you're like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm valuable. I'm worth it. I can do this. I can fly down to Las Vegas and film with David Meltzer and, have a veggie sandwich with John Assaraf. It's no big deal. Like, I can do that, but I think it adds to the story. It makes it more cool, when you're doing it the right way.
I totally agree. Listen, I want to jump on something you said that I just loved. You talked about how when we're looking back, we can see things clearly. We can learn from it when we're looking back at the stuff, and you get so much out of that. So one of the ways I've turned that into a challenge is to look at the challenges in front of you, the things that we think are like, oh, frick, this is going to be so hard. This is such a tough thing I'm dealing with. But what if you looked at it as a gift? Because when we look back on any of the challenging times in our lives, that's when we grew the most. Of course, at the time, we would never say such a thing. Oh, no, you don't understand what I'm going through. But now you look back and you're like, well, actually, it's because of that I'm stronger. I'm more patient. I'm kinder. I'm whatever this thing that built you into the person you are. It was because of the challenges. It wasn't the good times. We don't go, oh, yeah, remember when I did that 5 years ago and it was the greatest and now I'm a better person because I don't know if I've ever heard those words come out of someone's mouth.
Right.
It is always, I had to lose this. I had to go through this and now I'm this person. So if we know that the challenges are what help us grow, what if we faced all of our challenges with a smile on our face going, it's grow time? And that's such an exciting opportunity for us. And if you can take that perspective and look at your challenges every single day that way, I promise you, your life is going to be amazing. It will be the type of life that everyone else is going, what are they doing so right? Because it's those challenges that bring us into our darkest times and we allow it. We look at it so negatively, we invite the darkness in like, you don't know what I'm going through right now. Like you're just inviting it versus, Lord Milan, guess what I'm going through right now? Oh my goodness, is it challenging?
Yeah.
But it's okay. I know in 6 months or a year or in 2 years, I'm going to look back at this time in my life and go, what a frickin' champ I was. I am proud of who I am and I deserve to win because of what I went through.
That makes me think of a handful of things. And one of them is, all the stories that we have about heroes and superheroes, there's always an origin story, right? And the origin story is usually something that sucks. Like, my parents got killed in front of me. Now I'm Batman. It's like, but I think supervillains also have a similar origin story.
Yeah.
It's just what they chose to do with it. You know, I'm hurting, so I'm gonna hurt other people, or I'm hurting, I'm gonna prevent the hurting from other people. At least try.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and utilize it to put more light into the darkness. And it's like, man, it only takes one match to light up a dark room. And it's like, okay, you're the only one. Well, somebody's counting on you then. Let's go, dude. Let's go. You know, and I look back at, you know, breaking my neck, and at the time I wasn't like, heck yeah, this is an awesome summer.
Yeah.
No feeling, that's right. You know, but looking back now, I'm like, oh, that was my origin story.
Yes.
You know, I wasn't on a path really that was going to get me anywhere. I was just kind of going through the motions. And I was living versions of my life that other people sanctioned. My coaches said, do this. Okay. My friend said, do this. I said, okay. My church said, do this. Okay. But I wasn't really in it. You know, I wasn't really in the game myself. And after the injury, it's like, all right, well, everything slowed down enough. It's quiet enough. And I started to really ask, like, what's really happening here? Because, like, once all the noise quieted away, it was really just it was crickets. Like, what do I like and want? And I was like, well, I know I like girls. I know I like clothes. And I know I like money. Okay. And so I went to school and started studying fashion design. And I'm just like, all right, well, but that one decision opened my world up to be like, well, now what else do I want to do? And because I couldn't hide the wheelchair, obviously, I was like, well, I'm not going to hide anything else either. And just decision after decision led me to like the most extraordinary like relationships and ideas and opportunities and all these other things that just like add to the authenticity, you know, and add to, and I think what we're doing with all of this is like you're building a rapport with yourself.
Yeah.
Can I trust me? You know, if you want other people to believe you, you got to say yes to yourself. You can't be saying, well, I have all these ideas, but I'm not going to say anything. Well, eventually God's going to tell somebody else, and you're like, hey, man, I thought about that. And he's like, yeah, I know. I freaking told you 5 years ago. Why didn't you do it?
Yeah. Oh, it's so gold. Hey, I want to just tell you how grateful I am that you tell your story the way you do. It's freaking beautiful. It's so inspiring. And I know you hear that a lot, but I want to give a slightly different angle on it. And I want people to hear this. Listen to how Lord Milan tells his story. It is a gift. It was his gift. And how many of us need to have our neck broken so that we start to recognize the gifts that we already have in our life. Not, well, I'm waiting for more gifts to come before I take my first steps. Okay, what if those steps can never come because we're going to take away your ability to walk? Now are you ready to do something with your life? And don't be the guy. You know what? This is actually, I can't believe I don't know if I've ever said this out loud, but I used to say this in my head all the time. So I hope this resonates with people. Don't be that person who's listening to Lord Milan's story and going, well, I wish I had my neck broken and was in a wheelchair and then I would do something good with my life. It's like, are you freaking serious? Like, do you want to say that? But that's what you are saying by not doing anything with the life and the talents and the blessings that you have today. So I used to use that as my motivation. Like, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say, oh, I wish I had a more inspiring story that I had this terrible thing happen to me or this. No, you can just do something with what you have today. Stop waiting. Just start moving and create your own inspiring story. It will happen on your path.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get hit in the face.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, hardship's going to come to everybody in different forms, you know, at different times.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is a surprise, like, you know, and it's like, all right, well, what am I going to do with that? And it's asking for somebody else's challenges is futile, I think. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, and I think that's what we're asking when we say, I want their life.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you're asking to go through all the things that made them that person.
That's right.
And usually it's a bunch of stuff you have no idea about.
Oh yeah. No.
You know, it's the times where it was dark and nobody was around. It's when you were eating a peanut butter sandwich again because you haven't gotten paid yet. You know, it's people that, you know, a lot of people will say like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm like, well, you might not speak French, but it means somebody that's willing to suffer more than others, risk more than others. Are you sure you want to do that? because that's what we do. We risk more than others. We put it out there on the line. And, there's a saying in Venezuela, somebody that works for me said, we write the story on the way.
It's really,
everybody wants the story already written so that they know exactly what to do, but you write the story on the way.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. And I think then you can look back and like, oh, well, let me harvest the good. Oh yeah, that was a good thing. Okay, let me write that down. And I think one of the biggest things that I got from my mentor is take notes, Milan. Take notes. Take notes. Because like all these things that you notice, like, wow, that really made a huge difference. Well, that sucked, but, it led to this. And like, hey, sometimes it's like that. That sometimes hardship is a precursor to glory. It's not always just sunshine and rainbows. Or else, why would you put forth the effort?
That's right.
Solutions don't even make sense without problems. Ice skates, fantastic. Canadians love them. Skating and hockey. But like, ice skates wouldn't make sense if somebody didn't want to utilize the frozen lake. Right. If somebody's handed you an ice skate in Florida, you'd be like, what am I going to do with this? But in the right environment, that's a solution. So, so it's like the things that you may have, the challenges that you have, like now I'm able to look at, like Paul said, I count it all as good. Like, oh, thank you for all these hardships. Like,
yeah,
sure. Goodness and mercy is obviously you have to be around the corner, and it's like one of the things a friend of mine said, if you learn nothing from the Chinese, learn the yin and yang, that like goodness and hardship flow into each other. Like they make sense together. Separately, they don't make sense. If it's only problems, it doesn't make sense. If it's only solutions, you're like, well, what does it solve?
Oh, really?
It makes sense when they're together. So when you have one, just know that the other's coming around. It's like if you just start to look for solutions all the time, man, that's where your focus will be instead of like, this sucks. Yeah, we all know it sucks. What are you going to do about it?
Oh, I love this conversation, man. Hey, at the risk of sounding like I'm doing a shameless promotion, if someone's listening right now and they're going, man, I like what these guys are saying, but I don't necessarily know how to take those first steps in seeing the challenges and the bad stuff that's happened in my life as a gift. That's honestly exactly what this book is about. It's how to take the crap from my past and recognize that it's my origin story, and how to take it and use it as fuel to propel me forward, not as an anchor to hold me back. And man, I share it all in the book. And if you like hearing the way I talk, the audiobook is available as well. It's super fun. Wow, was that a process to put together? And man, I'd love to be on that journey with you guys.
That's fantastic, man. And I love that one of the posts that you did on IG about the book, thanking people for the pre-sales and like, hey, screenshots and support and everything. And you said, if you haven't gotten it yet, please reconsider. Like, here's why. And I love the transparency of that. Like, it's worthwhile, dude. I'm telling you. Like, I'm not the type of guy that put out fluff. Like, I don't need to do that. If I'm going to do something, it's going to be on purpose. It's going to be worthwhile. So hopefully there's something in there for you. And I love that attitude of just like that transparency and that ownership of like, I get it. People start to sell you stuff all the time. Yeah. I'm trying to sell you something. I hope you buy into my world and whatnot. But I'm here to let you know that it's worthwhile because ... that I'm doing this on purpose. And like, I felt like this was a gift. So I think it's my responsibility to give that gift out.
Yeah.
And, I think when we look at it that way, it's like, oh, well, people can be a lot more receptive to that version, rather than, oh, this is the greatest thing. It's going to improve your life 1,000x, in 48 hours. Like, come on.
I thank you for this. And it's one of the reasons why I try and be very transparent about what to expect out of this book. Like, I'm not trying to oversell it. I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's everything to everyone and it will solve all of your problems. No, here's what it is. It's really simply written. So if you're looking for some scholarly book, don't get this one. If you like the way I speak, that's the number one thing. The people who have already read it, mostly friends, family, editors, they're like, Marcus, you captured your own voice. perfectly. Like it's your voice. It's the way you talk. And it's simple stuff that if you do this stuff, it will change your life, period. This is not like, new ideas, new risky stuff that I'm trying out, coffee enemas and do it. This is like, no. These are obvious things. As you read it, you'll be like, oh yeah, obviously. Oh, but wait, am I actually doing it? Oh yeah. And if I did it every day, if I did it with consistency, oh yeah, I guess my life would change. So it's really just like a guidebook, a rule book. It's this plan to help you play a bigger game in life.
I love that. I love the doability of it,
Yeah.
because I think if it's doable, then it's doable,
Yeah.
then it's repeatable. And
Yes.
like having those challenges built in just to see how, okay, let me take this information and make it personal. How's it going to impact my business? How's it going to impact my relationships? How's it going to impact my health? How's it going to impact my thinking? And like having those little incremental exercises, I think is so great, because there's a lot of stuff to do, but like, how am I going to make that personal? And, having that built in and like being transparent like that, like you said, I'm not trying to overcomplicate things and pretend I'm some linguistic scholar or something, like I'm not here to impress people. And I love that, because I think it's the people that have that attitude that I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm presenting my authentic story.
Yeah.
Hope you like it. And like when we look at the Christ, he was pretty much the same thing. I'm not trying to convince people. I'm here to present my authentic truth. Hey man, if you buy in, I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. If you don't, I mean, I still love you, but
yeah,
I'm here to tell you you're missing out, bro. You're missing out. Yeah. And like making it that simple, then it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. But like as we wrap up, because like, man, that 30 minutes went fast.
Yeah.
I love the title of the book, Play a Bigger Game. Can you speak to a little bit about why you guys chose that title?
Oh, thank you. Again, it was given to me. And playing a
Makes it
bigger
easy.
game. Yeah, right? It made it real easy. It really does perfectly like encapsulate my life, which is I wanted to play a bigger game. I was playing a zero game in my early days. Like I knew I was heading for nothing. I had amounted and collected nothing. I just felt like I was doing nothing with my life. And I wanted to do more. I wanted to play a bigger game. And it's an invitation and it's a movement. And it's, if you feel like you should be playing a bigger game in life, or there's more to life than what you're experiencing, then you need someone in your corner helping you play that bigger game. And here's the guidebook on how to play that bigger game. And just accept the invitation. Give it a try. Test it out. Try for 15 minutes. Read a little bit or listen to a bit of the audiobook and take the first challenge. You will notice a difference if you do it. You'll go, oh yeah, okay, I can see how this would work. And now just keep doing it. And that's another plague that we're dealing with in this world, which is you do a little bit that shows you results. Like think about how many people start on a diet or start a new exercise routine and they start seeing results and then they stop. And it's like, oh, if you had just continued, things were going to keep getting even more amazing. So it's my encouragement. It's my loving push to just keep going. Do some stuff that works and then keep at it. Stay consistent and surround yourself by people who want to see you succeed and who have succeeded and who are wanting to succeed with you. Take that journey with you. And I'm one of those people, by the way. So reach out to me. If you get the book, if you just felt something off of this episode, reach out to me. I want to encourage you. I want to be your cheerleader. I'm a celebratory guy. I love celebrating with people. I'm the furthest thing from the guy who's like, oh, you're winning? Well, then I need to work harder because I need to win more. I'm like, you're winning? That's amazing. Let's celebrate this. And so please, if you want somebody to celebrate with, just reach out to me.
I love that, man, because it remind me of a phrase somebody told me years ago that it's never a traffic jam when you run your own race.
Oh,
so it's like, why would I be concerned about this guy? Like, he's not even in my lane. Like, I'm running my own race, like God is a God of specificity that, look at our fingerprints, look at all these things that make us individuals. And as we wrap up, I think the word play is such an important word in that title. That, like it's the game of life,
Yeah.
It's like when we look at it as that, like I should be having fun. There should be enjoyment aspect to this. How can I increase my enjoyment within my own person so that it's not all artificial external things? Like, yeah, you can increase your enjoyment if you do some drugs, I guess. But like, what about the next day? You can't just do that every single day. It's like, how can I become, get more enjoyment out of my own story? And I think it's when you stop seeing difficulty as the problem and you start to use it as like, oh, this is just a part of the chessboard. This is a part of it. Oh, I get to do this rather than I have to do this thing.
Oh,
You can't be a world-class hurdler if you never jump over a hurdle. Like,
so
good.
good.
The thing that sounds awesome to you, I think that's the way that God speaks to us the most, is through the stuff that sounds real awesome and you can't stop thinking about it. And, your book, like you said, can be that guidebook to help you get that awesome a lot faster. So thank you, Sarah, for your time. I love this convo. We could have gone for like 3 hours, I'm sure.
Yeah, we could.
But we'll cut it there. And I wish you the best. I picked it up on Kindle, but where can I get the audiobook? Is that Audible?
Yeah. So right this moment when we're filming this, everything is pre-sale. So even the audiobook, it's not even a pre-sale at this point. But by the time this comes out, everything's available. Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble. You'll find the audiobook everywhere too. And I just want to say thank you so much for the conversation, for being who you are, for just spending this time with me, man. Thank you. And thank you for everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for everybody who ends up going and picking up a book, or even if you thought about picking up a book, thank you. And reach out to me. I'm at playabiggergame.com. And just come visit. Come let me know what's going on in your life and how I can support you, how I can cheer you on, and just know I'm rooting for you.
That's awesome. Fantastic, man. I love that. When I looked up your book, though, on Amazon, the one right below it was Marcus Aurelius. So I was like,
I know, right?
Ain't that something?
I love it.
It's pretty cool. Awesome. All right, brother.